President Biden has one more month left in office. And you and I have talked, like I said, for months leading up to the election, as voters are well, or as viewers rather, are well aware. And this was a election. It was a referendum on the status quo. President Biden, even though he wasn't the candidate, his administration was voted out. What is his approval rating as we sit here right now, 1 month until he's out of office?
Yeah, I think that several things have factored into this, and we can get into that in a minute. But we see fairly historic lows. It is very close to the historic low in our polling for Biden's approval rating. We see 36% approve, 54% disapprove. That is about as bad as it can get. And again, we'll look a little deeper into some why this might be the case, but President Biden's administration is deeply unpopular right now.
Well, let's look a little deeper. Why is that the case? Because when you're saying that this is unprecedented, this is as low as it can go, what are the factors here? Why is it as low as it can go?
Well, in this poll, we tested the President Biden's decision to pardon his son, Hunter Biden. We find that that is not a popular move. 52% oppose that decision, just 28% support. Now, a majority of Democrats do support that, 56%, but the overwhelming majority of Republicans are against it, 82%. And then when you look at independents, they are also in opposition, 53%. I think combined with the economic numbers, that were fresh out of the election, and then with this deeply unpopular move, it's sort of easy to see why President Biden's numbers keep ticking lower and lower.
And President Biden isn't the only one with some controversial pardons. President-elect Donald Trump has said that he would pardon January 6th rioters when he gets into office. What do voters think about that?
Yeah, so that hypothetical, I suppose, for the time being, pardon, it is also not popular among the electorate, not quite as bad as the Hunter Biden pardon. About 50% oppose pardoning the January 6th rioters, 34% support, and then a further 16% aren't sure. A majority of Republicans do support it, 60%, and then 82% of Democrats are opposed to that part.
When you're looking at President Biden's approval, does any demographic stick out to you? Because as we noted back in November in the election, almost every demographic swayed more Republican than in elections past. Donald Trump made grounds with and gains with almost every demographic. So is anything interesting there?
Yeah, so his approval rating is very similar to what we saw last month. Very, very much underwater, continuing a downward trend that we've seen since before the election, but especially after the election. We're seeing, frankly, some what I'd call melt everywhere. There's no one demographic that he's losing, but we do see that among some of these minority voters, some of these younger voters, and even among Democrats, folks who say that they are partisan Democrats. We're seeing his approval tick down across the board. So I don't think that there's any one demographic I could point to and say, that's where his problem is. I think that, he's the outgoing president now. He might not be concerned with his approval rating at this point, and frankly, I wouldn't blame him. But he's seeing melt everywhere, and it is certainly affecting his approval rating across the board.